Hi there, this is Love Johar. Thank you so much for tuning into this video and thank you so much for watching this channel. Very important video for you out there if you are understanding more about the privacy standards. What are the different privacy frameworks that we have? So this is eight principles by OECD. Okay, so make sure that you watch this video very carefully and understand what are these eight principles defined by OECD. We will understand each one of them in detail in this video. Very important, especially for designing and taking reference from any privacy related frameworks. This would be helpful for you in the long term. So stay tuned, and as always, any comments, ask in the comment section. Thank you. So, if you are starting your journey with the privacy and you want to adopt a framework, so OECD has given this clear eight principles that needs to be adopted. So, this would be a starting point for your organization that you can use for start implementing a privacy framework. This can be useful if you are implementing GDPR as well. Okay, so please watch this video very carefully. So, number one is consumer consent. So there should be limit to the collection of personal data, and any such data should be obtained by lawful and fair means and where appropriate with the knowledge or consent of the data subject. So two things are here. First of all, a limit to the collection of personal data. Only relevant data should be collected. So collection limitation is there and should be collected with the consent of the data subject. Two things are there. Consumer consent. Second is data quality. Collect only relevant consumer data. Personal data should be relevant to the purpose for which they are to be used, and to the extent necessary for those purposes, should be accurate, complete, and up to date. Okay. So now what it says is only relevant customer data should be collected. What this means is, let's say if you are an e-commerce website, if you are an e-commerce company, and if you are collecting customers, personal data, for example their phone numbers, their home location, their addresses, so all this is personal data for individuals, for your customers. But now, so it should be relevant to the purpose. For example, if you are only using this data in order to deliver products at their location, at their home, and for calling them just to make sure that they receive the products, then it is fine. Okay, but you should not be using this for any other purposes. Okay, that should be clear. After that, you have purpose specification. Define purpose of data collection. The purpose for which personal data are collected should be specified. It should be made clear. Okay, only at the time of data collection, and the subsequent use limit to the fulfillment of those purpose or such others are not incompatible with those purposes, and as are specified on each occasion of change of purpose. So purpose, first of all, what it says is should be made clear at the beginning when you are collecting this data, and if any change in the purpose, it should be notified at each and every occasion. Okay, then you have use limitation. Okay, what is the use for personal data? So use of data for a specific purpose, what it says is personal data should not be disclosed, made available, or otherwise used for purposes other than those specified in accordance with paragraph 9. Already I think we have discussed this. Only be used for the purpose for which you are collecting the data. Data management by controller. Personal data should be protected by reasonable security safeguards against risks such as loss or unauthorized access, destruction, use, modification, or disclosure of data. I think this is also self-explanatory. The data management should be done reasonably by the controller, and it is the controller's responsibility to make sure that the data remains intact, and the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data is not compromised at all. Okay, so that is there. Then you have direct line from consumer to controller. Okay, so that there should be a general policy of openness about any sort of developments which are happening with the personal data of the customer, and it should be readily available, and the users can easily access what sort of processing is being happening with their data. Okay. Then you have individual participation, consumer data access rights. Individuals have the right to obtain from a data controller or otherwise confirmation or not whether or not the data controller has data relating to them or not. If you do not have any data related to them, you can say no. Otherwise, you have to supply them what sort of data do you have on them. Then you have to have communicated to them data relating to them within a reasonable time. So you have to respond back within a reasonable time. Okay. At a charge, if any, that is not excessive. So this could be there if, for example, if somebody is asking for personal data, and the request is being happening on multiple intervals, so there might be a small charge, but again, it should be small. That's what it clearly says. It should not be excessive for providing the personal data. And mainly it's saying that it should be handled in a reasonable manner, and it should be readily available to them. That is what it says. To be given reasons if a request made under subparagraphs A and B is denied, and to be able to challenge such denial, to challenge data relating to them, and if the data challenge is successful, to have the data erased, rectified, completed, or amended. Okay. So if there is any sort of challenge from the individual, okay, then the data has to be erased. It clearly says that. Okay. And in case of any modifications, it needs to be amended as well. It clearly highlights that. So what is the data controller responsibility? So data controller is basically accountable for complying with all these measures which are laid out here. Okay. Which gives effect to the principles stated above, which means that its accountability at the end of the day is from the data controller to make sure that all these principles that we have discussed, the 8 OECD principles, are being looked upon properly and are being taken care of when they are implementing any privacy frameworks. So any follow-up questions, anything you want to ask, please feel free to ask in the comment section. This is it from Love Johar. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.